Today we're going to attempt to tune this Fox body with Holley Sniper. And the reason I say attempt is up to this point this thing has fought me like crazy. It came in sort of running, but running real bad. The learn and closed loop are basically maxed out. It just murdered spark plugs, idled kind of rough, you know, the typical deal. Spent a bunch of time going over things, and I think at this point I have it ready to set up on the dyno. One of the biggest hurdles that we had is it has aftermarket gauges in it. So basically like nothing in the factory gauge cluster works. And as I was trying to set the timing, the thing's just popping and basically giving all the signs that the timing was out. And it's doing that as I'm setting the timing. So naturally you think that's what the problem is. But even though we had plenty of fuel pressure, I just happened to glance inside. The fuel gauge was pegged on empty. And I don't know, I guess I just didn't think that a car would come to the dyno with the fuel tank completely empty. But I was wrong. I confirmed with the owner of the car that the gauge does work and put some fuel in it. And believe it or not, it actually ran significantly better with fuel in the tank. So lost a whole bunch of time to that.
It ain't got no gas in it.
Worst part of that whole deal is we're in this middle of this weird gas shortage thing and everyone's going ape shit, you know, filling up whatever they can. So in the middle of this, I had to go to the gas pump, fill up a empty 5-gallon jug, and even the guy at the gas pump next to me is on the phone telling whoever he's talking to that everyone's going crazy and filling up gas cans and whatnot. So it looked like a psychopath, but it fixed the car, so that's all that matters. And going into this, kind of expecting there to be some other stuff to pop up, but hopefully that won't be the case. And we're going to start off on 93 octane with the exhaust intact. Once we're done with that, we're going to pour in some Cam 2 and open up the exhaust cutouts. How much of a difference that will make, I don't know, but I guess we'll find out soon enough. You'd be amazed how often this happens too. I haven't even grabbed any tools yet. Yeah, totally the wrong lug nuts for the wheels. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that these are some temporary wheels or something. Hopefully this car doesn't get driven like this because this is super dangerous. I started and ran perfect when I left yesterday and just changed a whole bunch of stuff, so let's see if we can't even get it to start today. Nope. In all fairness, it had been running and warmed up. It looks like my IAC park position settings were a little low. Let's see if we get lucky and just that'll fix us up again. Nope. All right, god damn it. Let's try some prime pulse and some startup enrichment bullshit. Just a heads up, the belt on this thing sometimes squeaks, and it is the loudest squeaking belt of all time. That's a whole lot better. I don't know if you can see, but this pulley is like this, and this pulley is like this. I'm sure that's what's causing the squeaking. The belt seems to be tensioned okay. Right now it's shutting up, but holy hell is it annoying when it starts screaming. I have no idea what we're up against as far as what this thing has for a torque converter in it. But it's pretty much warmed up, so I'm just going to roll it through gears, get it in high gear, load it up on the dyno, and start trying to shape this VE table. This stuff's pretty boring, so I won't bore you with it. So with the exception of the ECU dropping connection, what feels like every 30 seconds, so far so good. I just had to like sort of spot check the VE table since it just keeps dropping connection. So I got a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, and I'll blend it all together and then try it again and verify it. Worst case scenario, if it wants to keep being an asshole, then as much as I hate to do it, I might just have to turn the learn on and just drive it around for a little while and then go back and kind of do it that way. Once we get past this stuff, we start doing sweep runs, it makes it a lot easier just to kind of sort through data logs, which I could still do this way, but it takes way longer. So I'm gonna try this and then we'll go from there. You can see sort of doing the spot checking. I got some some mountains and some launch ramps and all kinds of fun and exciting stuff. So I'm gonna make all that go away real quick and try and do as much of this as you can manually if you're in this situation. So when you try and use the smooth buttons, it usually just kind of like wipes out everything that you just did. So definitely a fan of doing everything manually as opposed to using the learn and the smooth and all the stuff that in theory should make it really easy, just really ends up fighting you the whole way, in my opinion. Oh, what the hell, I just turned the learn on. Let's see if it'll stay connected to where you can sort of watch what's happening, see if it's in the ballpark at all. There's the bell.
Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Pretty close. That drop connection. Drop connection again. Luckily this thing actually runs nice and cool. And you can see that my spot checking on the VE stuff is for basically like a first go at it compared to where I started. And I mean, a majority of this is within a couple percent, and then obviously there's some spots where it's 5, 6, 7. I think the reality of it is most shops would send you out of here with corrections larger than that anyways. So even when I use the learn table, usually what I still do is I'll use it as a reference point, and rather than just copying it over to the fuel table, I'll just kind of manually adjust based off of the numbers that I see here. Otherwise you get up with a fuel curve that looks all whack. Yeah, I've kind of hit everything between, you know, 1,000 RPM and 4,000 RPM or so. I haven't gone full throttle with it. I don't want to just blast through the converter, but I'll probably continue touching this up as we kind of step up into it to do the sweep runs, but I think we're ready to start doing some full throttle stuff. These videos tend to make things look like they take 3 minutes. This stuff right here is the most time consuming part of the whole tuning process if you want to do a good job. So it might look like it's 10 seconds long in the video, but it definitely took far longer than that. I, in theory, have very minimal timing in this. Probably make a little partial run and check things out. And once we get the fueling where we want it to be, then we'll start throwing some timing in it. So yeah, let's see what it wants to do. I don't have time to screen record this today, so I'm just gonna show you with the camera or whatever. You can see our target. We've got a little bit of a lean spike somewhere. Where'd that go? Yeah, right around here. You can see closed loops turned off, so we have some acceleration enrichment going on. So I probably add a little acceleration enrichment. If you look at this green line here, that's our air fuel. Just because of the scaling, it looks kind of janky, but not so bad. The main thing kind of keep an eye on here is our map signal here in blue. Looks a little bit choppy. And then if we go to the data log overlay, you can see that the map signal is kind of shitty. So I think before I make any changes, what I'm going to do is just copy our 105 shit, and see, we'll probably drop that down here, seems good. And then I'll just interpolate this, basically make that all the same. If we scroll through the run, and you look over here at the closed loop, got like 5 or 6% for a while, and then it comes down to not a whole lot. So basically we're at 2% correction positive towards the end of that run, which again is only like 5,300 RPM. But it looks like it's trending up, so I'll probably add some fuel at the higher RPMs, and then where I had the -5, -6, I'll take probably a couple percent out right there, and shit, we'll try it again, and once we rev it out a little bit higher, we'll throw some fuel at it. So maybe my reverse psychology this morning is saying that maybe we get to tune this thing is working, and it'd be nice if this goes smooth. I have so many cars backed up that need to come in here and take this spot that it'd be really nice just to kind of jam through this and get this finished up today. So just tried making another run, and if we look at, see this blue line here goes away. It starts off pretty flat, we're in a reasonable range, and then it just skyrockets up here. So if we put the cursor over here, and you can see our closed loop goes to 20%. Considering the way that it's doing it, I think the likelihood of there being a fuel pump problem is probably pretty high. So I'm going to see if there's a port or something where I can hook up a fuel pressure sensor, and we'll log that, because there's no reason to jack the fuel curve all up trying to chase a fuel pressure problem. So let's see if that's what's going on. So I pulled off the mechanical gauge, threw in the dyno fuel pressure sensor, and I haven't started it yet, but just key on engine off. The fuel pressure is reading significantly different than the gauge did. So let's see what it does when it's running. Alright, that's better. It's a few PSI off, but it's in the ballpark. So I'm just gonna make a run like this, log the fuel pressure through the dyno, and if it's dropping pressure, then we might be kind of done until he sorts it out. For whatever reason, this thing has like, see, there's that shit I was talking about. It just shuts itself off sometimes. But yeah, this thing has like 29 different, shut up. This has like 29 different fuel filters on it, and they're all the like real little ones. So this very well could be a filter problem, or I could just be wrong altogether, but I guess we'll know here in a second. Got two things that are a little bit interesting here. First, fuel pressure actually maintained pretty well, so maybe it just wants that much fuel in the VE table. Seems a little bit weird, but I've seen weirder. But the other thing is this thing, when it's doing the weird shutting off whatever, and this kind of the stuff associated with that when it acts goofy, and like I was saying, how the it drops communication with the computer, and everything freaks out and starts running weird. As it's doing that, the fuel pressure is like fluctuating like 40 psi. So there's definitely something weird going on with this, and I'm not sure. That might be a kind of a homework project for the owner of the car to go through that stuff. This thing has like 100 grounds on it too. So we got like chassis ground going to the motor, and then motor to the motor, the motor to the air filter, and got from the chassis to the alternator. Once you start going crazy with grounds like that, it's pretty common to cause some interference and some weird problems there. But it definitely seems like it's an electrical problem. You know, it'll sit and idle. Again, like I said, 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden it'll just shut off, and then you start it off, and then it'll run for another 40, and there's no like real rhyme or reason to it. Really the only thing that's consistent is it's freaking out the laptop at the same time that it does it. And now we got this kind of fuel pressure deal into the mix too. So I haven't run into this before. This thing is being a serious asshole connecting to the ECU. God damn it. Just work. Alright. Shut down the software and open it back up again. Alright, so it looks like it just wants some crazy V values. Now granted, it doesn't want to be as high as the closed loop correction said it was. I went up about half and it was a little bit too much. But it did pick up like 10 horsepower, so yeah. Either way, when you suspect something, it's nice to just be able to have an opportunity to just throw a sensor on it and check it. Saves a whole lot of time. This was a lot closer, so hopefully make some changes to this one, and maybe I'll throw a little timing in it for the next run. So degree of timing basically didn't do anything. Probably give it another one just to make sure. Sometimes there's like a sort of like a spot. If you're too low, you can go up and it doesn't really do much. But either way, these spark plugs are pretty wrecked from everything it's had going on, so I'm gonna throw a set of plugs in it real quick, and then that way I can kind of look at the plug and the dyno chart and make decisions on where to go from there. It's not the fairest comparison because we did put new plugs in, but it looks like it liked the timing up top. Pulling the plugs out after making one run on the new ones. Looks like cylinder number 1 looks like it's pretty close to being right, and then all of the other cylinders for the most part look like it actually wants a little bit more timing. So probably gonna give it another degree at higher RPM, and if it likes that, then maybe we'll put it everywhere and make some decisions after that. So let's try that right now. This is 1 degree less timing. Still about the same. I've made a few more runs and swung the timing around, and the plugs look like it's just right where it wants to be. It's weird how it's just almost having no effect on power. And the numbers all seem really low. I think I'm gonna just throw a timing light on it to verify it for the 300th time. And other than that, I don't want to just keep cranking timing into it. Kind of when something seems a little suspicious. And since we have race fuel here, I think I might just pour that in. At least then I know we can throw a few degrees in it and not have to worry about it. So this is not normal, but you know, this is just kind of a part of it sometimes, unfortunately. Right on the money. Right. This is supposed to be cam 2, but it's in a brand new VP jug, so I don't know what to expect.
Who knew you could bottle the scent of a boner?
No, it's cam 2. Interesting. Not sure where it came from, but we're gonna try this. A couple of days ago, I had a car come from South Carolina. It's like a, I don't know, 10-hour drive or something. And Terminator X car, and it was the smoothest, best dyno appointment I've had in forever. We anticipated spending 2 days on it, got it done in about half of one, and I think this car is making me pay the price for that one going so smooth. As far as actual tuning goes, this was probably like a 2-hour deal, 3-hour deal, but I got more time invested in this than I care to admit, and then I'll probably get paid for less than half of it. So the initial plan here was to open up the exhaust cutouts at the same time did the fuel, but I want to make sure I'm comparing apples and apples with this timing deal. Depending on where we go with that, then you know, we'll open up the cutout things. Picked up like 5. Nothing's easy. Alright, I'm gonna yank a plug out and I'm just gonna try a couple more degrees, see what that does, and then I don't know, maybe depending on what that does, I'll back the timing off in the ECU and maybe try and mechanically advance it a couple degrees. This isn't how this normally goes. Overlaying the runs, I mean, it definitely picked up with the fuel and a little bit more timing, so I'm gonna try a little bit more. It's working. So yellow, we have pump gas, red with the race fuel with a little timing, and blue with a little bit more timing. So I mean, everything's doing what it's supposed to be doing, and it is responding the way that it should. Just it's just not picking up like I would have anticipated. I checked plugs for the 100th time. They really couldn't look any better. There's definitely no sign of anything bad happening, so I'll try a little bit more and see what happens. And this damn ding is gonna make me blow my brains out. Anytime something doesn't do what it normally does and kind of leaves me scratching my head a little bit, I try and spend a little extra time to figure out the hows and the whys. More often than not, you learn something, so even though it takes forever, definitely seems to be beneficial. At the end of the day, I just try and do my best to make sure that doing everything right and getting the most out of everything. I can say with certainty that this whole deal would have ended a couple of days ago, you know, potentially at some other shops and stuff. So try and work through the problems, and it makes scheduling a nightmare, and it gets a lot of people mad at me because it takes a long time to get their cars in. But you know, usually the people that own the cars that have the problems are pretty appreciative of it. So I think I've decided I'm going to try a little bit more timing, assuming we don't see any crazy gains, which I know we won't. Probably pop the cutouts off, make one more run, and just see if that was worthwhile. If it doesn't pick up a significant amount, then you know, there's no point in trying to tune for it. So let's try a little bit more time. Still gained. All right, I'm calling that good. Let's pop the exhaust cutouts off. So if the exhaust is a restriction, we're gonna see some changes in fueling and need to make some adjustments. If the exhaust isn't a restriction, then everything should be relatively similar. So we're just gonna try it as is, see where we're at, and again, make some judgment calls based off if it picks up any power or not. Closed loop at idle went to shit, so if we keep it this way, we're gonna have to turn closed loop off. From a 12.5 to a 12.8 air fuel ratio made no difference. So as far as things that I have control over on this, I'm out of adjustability. Fuel pressure seems to kind of sporadically be getting worse, and you can tell, like, as the fuel pressure is changing, you can see it in the log. So it's definitely something fuel pressure related going on. I'm gonna call this quits here before we tear anything up. I have a feeling that this car is probably gonna go back home, check some things over, update some stuff, and then we'll probably see it again. I don't know, if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe, and maybe we'll make a round 2 of this car. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.